very much.
Hi, my name is Jeff Grubb. I'm lore and continuity designer at Arenanet, working on Guild Wars 2. My companion here on stage is Aaron Coberly, who's our lead character artist. If it moves and it looks good, it's his department. We are in town. We are talking to the media. We've been talking to radio. We've been talking to papers and magazines about Guild Wars 2, which goes live tomorrow for pre-orders. It goes live on Tuesday, and we intend to completely, crush all productivity for the next week as people are playing it. So we're very excited about this. We put like 5 years of work into this product. We went originally the Guild Wars 1 was original Guild Wars was released in 2005. In 2007 we released Eye of the North, our last of our expansions, and then said we're going dark for a couple of years. We aren't going to tell you what we're doing. We're working on Guild Wars 2. And starting 3 years ago, we began telling people what we were doing. We began showing them the art. We began releasing the manifesto videos. And since then, we've been on a regular schedule of just moving up to this date. We've had beta tests, we've had friends and families, we've had stress tests, basically telling us everything we learning so much about the game and what we are doing with it. And now we're right at the edge. What we'd like to show you, most of you will know this stuff. What we're going to show you, most of this is already known, but this is what we have been telling the media on our trip. We've been introducing them to 4 basic pillars of Guild Wars 2. Guild Wars 2 with the media. We're talking about dynamic event systems. This is the idea of creating a living, persistent world in which we can continually engage and have it change as you move through it, and your actions will have a long-term effect. We're talking about action-oriented combat. We're talking about this freedom of movement, not just jumping and swimming, but also fighting in combat and tumbling out of the way. We were talking about our personal storylines, the idea of making your hero unique through choices that they make in the game. And finally, we are talking more about player versus player warfare. We are talking about our tournament establishment 5 versus 5 and our world versus world fighter. All of this is set in a world of titanic monsters, of incredibly powerful heroes, of beautiful, beautiful art. Welcome to Guild Wars 2. Guild Wars 2. We wanted to basically have a game that what we liked about MMOs, and also we looked at what we didn't like about MMOs. And one thing that bothered us was the world felt very static. It felt like it came out of a kit, like it was waiting for you to show up. You'd come to the village and it would have a little guy with a bang over his head. He said the centaurs are attacking, and the centaurs are out there in the field loafing and having a smoke, and you're supposed to kill 10 of them. In Guild Wars 2, you come over the rise, and the centaurs are attacking the village, and they're burning it to the ground. And unless somebody does something, the centaurs are going to burn the place to the ground, and you're going to lose that village, and it's not going to be available. So as a result, you become part of a living world which is already in motion when you arrive. And we ended up creating huge story arcs in which loops of which the centaurs would attack, and maybe they'd burn the village, maybe they wouldn't. They burned down the village, now we have to recapture the village, now we have to rebuild the village. If we rebuild the village, we find a legend of an ancient older centaur lord, and basically that sets us off in another direction. So we end up with a very vibrant world that is easier to immerse yourself into. It's also a world in which you can play well with others, because what we do with our dynamic events is we scale them. They start at, basically, you can solo a lot of them, you can basically be alone, but if you see another player, you shouldn't be worried that they're going to steal your kill. You shouldn't be worried that you're competing for the same resources. So as a result, you end up being able to team up, and you all get rewarded, and more importantly, the event itself gets more difficult. The creatures get more power, they get more skills, they get more of them show up. So by scaling the events, we create a much more living world that basically provides continual challenges and which have a permanent effect of what you do. Action-oriented combat. Another thing that bothered us about traditional MMOs where they were relatively static. You would stand there and swing the sword. You'd have to remain in place in order to fight cast a spell. In Guild Wars 2, we wanted to have a lot more mobility. We wanted to have the ability to block a shot. We wanted the ability to tumble out of the way. We We'd want you the ability to basically fight and maneuver and move around your opponents. And this freedom of movement, this excitement basically makes Guild Wars 2 more like an action-oriented RPG than a traditional MMO. It's something we basically looked at other games and said, yes, we like that. We'd like to do that. And in your skill system, you've got, your skills are tied to your weapons. You've got a sword, you've got 3 sword skills, you have a shield, you have 2 shield skills. You drop the shield, you pick up a dagger, now you have 2 different skills. And this versatility allows you to change what you're doing on the fly, depending upon the type of play you're having. Another problem that we had that was driving us crazy was, if you chose to be a healer, if you chose to be a support character, you spent the entire career doing that and nothing else. What we wanted to do was to allow everybody to engage in support, everybody to basically be a damage dealer, everybody to be good at a distance. And this encourages people to team up and fight alongside each other. This basically allows you to play different roles depending upon the needs of the situation, as opposed to your choice you made several months ago when you created the character. You're telling the story is you're telling just one story, and you're following that path all the way through. What we'd like to do with our personal storyline is to give player choices which then have an effect on the game for them. When you create a character, you call your profession, you create your race, you have the beautiful physical, the options of armor, etc. But you also make choices like, where did I grow up? Was I born to the streets? Was I born to the nobility? And that initial choice you make for your character follows through as far as setting you on a particular path initially. And as you go through that path, you make other choices. So your personal experience passing through the game is going to be one that goes through. We've got several races. We've got 5 races in the game. I'm getting ahead. I'm not talking fast enough. The humans are the oldest of them. They are our main characters from Guild Wars 1. They are a race that has been knocked down, but not knocked out. They are one that basically is struggling to survive and find their place in the world, has their time come and gone. We also have the Char, which is a powerful, technological, industrial, feline race that is organized into military legions. And were bad guys in the original Guild Wars 1. We have the Norm, which are these shape-shifting barbarians coming down from the north. And they believe in seizing the moment, in living life to the fullest, and leaving behind a story worth being told. The Silvari. They are a new race. They are beautiful, they are noble, they are plants. They're a little alien. Nobody really knows what their role is in the world. Most of all them, they're trying to discover where they belong in the universe. And lastly, there is the Asura. The Asura are smart, they're brilliant, they deal with a magical technology. They have built golems, they have teleportation gates. They're also sarcastic. They are the smartest kids in the room, and they basically won't hesitate to tell you that. Each of the races has pluses and minuses, has strengths and blind spots. But one thing they all have to do is come together in the game to face a greater danger. And that is the nature of the Elder Dragons. Titanic elemental forces which have woken beneath the earth. And they are now rising up. They exist only to consume and corrupt. And unless the races can pull together, they will destroy all of Tyria. Our gameplay comes together by encouraging others to play together. Our story supports that by showing the results. All roads lead to Tyria, to the sunken city of Or. All roads lead to the Elder Dragon. Player versus player. We've been talking about PvE all the way through here. We have a strong and rich player versus player experience as well. Our players, we have a tournament style play of 5 versus 5 or 8 versus 8 players. This is a small group of players. You're capturing objectives, you're fighting against opponents, you're dealing with secondary goals for that, and these are relatively short combats in which you're playing 3, 5, 10 minutes, and they are basically used for just your small, well-organized team against another in scenarios that involve trebuchets and clock towers and capturing ships and all variety of cool things, but we also have world versus world. Now, world versus world is longer term in greater scope. You will be on a server when you play Guild Wars 2, and you will be fighting in this area against 2 other servers. They will be fighting for 2 weeks. We're going to basically be capturing this landscape filled with castles and citadels, with siege engines and golems, and continual fight to basically extend, to get dominance over the land. And this is a big challenge for large groups of which you can enter into. I always like that shot. Together, these 4 things, this dynamic events, this personal storyline, action-oriented combat, and the use of PvP in these ways, basically makes Guild Wars 2 the next step, the next evolution. We have looked at MMOs, we've decided what we like, and we have basically delivered the game that we ourselves want to play. This is what we've been telling the media. What I'd also like to add is one of the reasons we've been doing all this work is because of the fans. We have an incredibly supportive fandom. Our community has been there for us. They have been patient. They have been supported. They have been a part of the beta tests. They have been part of the stress tests. And all of you have just done a fantastic job helping to make the game as cool as it is. And unfortunately, my only regret is I'm not going to be at a computer when we go throw the switch tomorrow morning and it all goes live. I want to thank you all very, very much. We have a Q&A now. They remind me of this stuff. Questions from the floor for myself or for Aaron. Aaron's our lead character artist, as I mentioned, master of armors and skins and appearance and all the cool stuff that's looking good. Everything that moves is his department. Is there anything from the floor? Any questions? What happened to Glindas' babies? Glint, of course, was a dragon from original Guild Wars, and we reveal, of course, in one of our novels that she is actually a champion of one of the elder dragons. The question, what happened to her babies, is not yet revealed. It's not, we don't address it yet, but the potential for it. But the question of how did Glint become independent? How did she break free of Kraukatorg? That story is told in the game.
There's been a lot of talks about emblems of armor and weapons, but like just simply, will there also be a cape?
Will there be capes?
We haven't fully decided that yet. We've been trying to look at other aspects and trying to make more variety. So like we have made guild armor, so you can wear armor and it has your guild emblem on it. We've made shields. We've made a lot of different items. One of the issues we were running into with capes is because of all of the things you stow on your back. It was becoming a big problem for all of the clipping. I mean, you have your sword and your shield, and then you have a cape back there, and you have a lot of stuff. The back is used, and especially for engineers with their backpacks, it becomes a really highly used area. So we've been trying to think of a lot of different ways to be able to display guild emblems. We haven't said never capes, but we currently aren't using them just because of all the complications.
Okay.
So through the magic of technology, of course, we checked with the Home Office while we were talking here. We do not have Authenticator technology right now. We should be having it soon after release. And the definition of soon, I don't know what it is, but that's what we our official word right now. Yes, sir, you had.
Approximately, how much time will it take for you to get some kind of spectator mode for PvP matches?
That's also under discussion right now.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't fear it because, it's going to be 3 days, but I do believe there are going to be people who are going to try to power through it, and that's a playing style. People are comfortable with it. They want to be the first one to finish, basically get to the end of their personal story, do as much as possible. But most MMOs have a very steep It's going to be like this exponential curve. Basically, it becomes harder and harder to go up levels. We looked at that, and that's something we don't like because it involves way too much grinding. You know, basically you're doing the same thing again and again and again. So it really is not very productive. Instead, we're looking at a much more gradual, where the amount of effort it takes to get from level 67 to 68 is about the same as to get between level 47 and 48, where you basically have a good feel for it. The journey is more important, of course, than to top out. We also got, since we've got so many races, so many professions, so many personal story options, you know, I feel that, you know, if you're going to move through, take your time with your second character. Yes, sir. We currently have more content coming. We will always, you know, we have a lot of stuff we still want to put into the game. How we're going to release it, whether it's just going to be updated content, there's going to be some of that. There's going to be, hey, we've got a cool thing, we're just throwing it in. There's also going to be expansions, the nature of which we're still, you know, arguing about what goes into one of them. What merits being a part of an expansion? Do we have more professions? Do we have more races? Do we have more weapon capabilities? All of these are potentials right now. Nothing has been determined. Our concentration for the past year has been to get to this day and get the game into people's hands.
One thing that has been determined is we need to keep the game alive. We need to keep it growing and evolving. And so all of those aspects we are planning on looking at, hey, how we're going to do things, how we're going to keep the game alive, how we're going to keep it interesting. We can't just have the game done and then 3 months later, well, that was it. You know, we need to continue evolving.
And to that end, we will be having seasonal events. We're already working on Halloween. We are going to have a Winter's Day. And
some of the things you saw at Builder Fun like that, we want to continue.
Yes, ma'am. Guesting to be implemented. I do not know. Sorry. Yes, sir. Then you want something to go with somebody else. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Special rules, special servers. I noticed that I've heard a couple, you know, groups have always said, okay, we're going to make this a role-playing server that we're going to be a part of. We're not going, you know, making special rules or protections for role-playing. But by the same token, we don't necessarily need it as much because it is a very open and welcoming world across the board. Those who prefer the PvP, who prefer those that type of contact, are heading into the mists in order to fight in the world.
De hairstyles är lite baserat som han är character designer.
Back there, yes.
Question about the Char.
The Char.
Yes. For me, they seem to be evolving at a much faster pace than humans. They are already in the industrial age, while the humans should be more advanced. But the Char seems to be advancing even faster. Will we be seeing kept on evolving of the Char?
Will the Char continue to advance? I think the Char have always had that sense of flame. They have built out of flame and magic when they were controlled by the Flame Legion. And when the other legions have come forward, you've now seen a lot more of the power of the Iron Legion, which is much more clockwork and foundries and gunpowder. I don't believe that the Char invented black powder. I think that came from the dwarves, but they're the ones who came and understood how they could be used best, how they could build the best weapons out of that. So this is, I think, the nature and the advantage of the Char is they are very pragmatic. They understand, you know, they will do what's necessary in order to win, and that reflects in the technological battlefield as well as in the magical battlefield. Young lady.
Will there be any possibility to inspect and duel other players later in the game?
Sort of a one-on-one sort of thing? I don't think so. Not at the present time.
And to inspect players to see their gear?
Sorry.
To inspect other players?
Inspect other players.
Like share that information?
I don't know. I really don't know. I've done you a couple times. Let's go next.
What about the extended experience? Can you discuss a little bit about it?
The extended experience, you mean the high-level experience?
No, the apps, the support things.
Oh, yes, we talked about this a couple years ago at PAX. We mentioned that we were working on something with the iPad where you could basically be able to access, check on your character, check on your friends. Actually, I love that as a concept because what drives me crazy is I have to get online to see who's there. You know, I'm searching around for 5 minutes. Oh, they're over here. Okay, I've got to get a different character and bring it over. That's still, as far as I know, in the works.
Yeah, we're still, I mean, those are really important. I mean, you do, especially world versus world, we're doing pretty good. That kind of thing, I think is really important. And so it's stuff that is...
Check world versus world, check your sales at the trading post, check who's online at what point, where your friends are in the world. I think I like that one a lot. You know, that just makes things work much better. Yes, I know that.
Everything we possibly can.
We haven't done anything to fix Diablo 3. The question was, Diablo 3 came out and had a error 37, a really critical bug in its release. And to be frank, we're doing everything we can to make sure that doesn't happen, but that's what keeps me awake nights, because everybody has worked so hard on this game. We have, you know, laid out the feast, we've set the table, we have lit the candles, we're ready for it, and if the door is locked, oh my god, nobody can get in. But yes, we have been running stress tests, we have been checking our servers, we've been checking our portals, we are basically preparing for the onslaught that's going to happen tomorrow morning, and that's going to be a scary moment. It's going to be, as they said when they dropped the latest Mars lander on the surface of Mars, 7 minutes of terror. One more? Sure.
Will you be making any more like hairstyles or beard styles available through microtransactions?
I think obviously all of those ways to customize, we want to keep evolving that and keep growing that. So I would think yes, we haven't committed to anything, but you know, it's a pretty good bet.
And while we've been talking, they've been handing out these quizzes with questions on them. We will be giving away a piece. Can I say this? A PC at 6 o'clock. Okay, so we will be, you know, the papers will be graded, and a winner will be selected. Okay, thank you very much.
Ja, en stor applåd.